Howdo guys, it's Luke at Luke's APS, and in this video I'm going to take you through how I improve a basic MDF kit and turn it into something that looks like this. I'd like to thank Warcradle Studios for sponsoring this video and supporting us little YouTubers. If you're interested in how to do this, sit back, relax and enjoy the video. So guys, if you're new here, consider subscribing and hitting that bell button, it really helps out. I build all sorts of terrain, from improving little MDF kits like this to building full diorama, scenic boards, whatever you want to call them. So if you're into that, give it a click. In this video, I'm going to take you through how I improve these MDF kits. Anybody who's been a watcher of the channel for a while knows that I'm not a massive fan of MDF. I like the idea that you buy it, it's cheap, you can throw it together and you've got some acceptable terrain that's okay for throwing together and spending limited time on. However, from the boards and everything that I build, it just looks massively out of place, so I have to put time and effort into improving them. So I thought what I'd do is I'd take you through the process and see what you think, and just show you how simple it is. Some bits are a little bit time consuming, but you can get some nice results with minimal effort. So let's get the cameras down and let's get cracking. So the stuff that they sent me is the Gloomberg Ruined Tower, they sent me the blacksmith, and they sent me the old windmill, which you'll have seen on the Black Magic Crafts channel. They did a very good job of it, and now it's my turn. They're very easy to pop from the sprue, just pop them out, lay them out. Now the details on the MDF parts are more than acceptable. All you got to do is you could spray these on the sprue, pop them out, assemble it, and it'd look fine. However, what we're going to do is pop them out, organise them, and get them ready for working out what we're going to do with them. Organise them, lay them out. The reason we do this is so when we're dry fitting it, we can work out whether we're going to do the modification before assembly or after assembly. And that's why you organise it and work out what needs to be stuck together or what doesn't before we do the next step. Dry fitting. As I've already explained, we dry fit so we can see whether we can assemble the bulk of the body and then do the texturing in one go, or whether we have to do it to each sheet, then stick it together, and we'll work on the joins later. And this is why we plan this, and this is why we work it out to see what's going to be the easiest method, which also makes it the quickest. The wallpaper I'm using has been used in a video before where I made a city table, a city gaming table. If you're interested in finding that paper, do check the links below. It's a textured wallpaper that looks pretty reasonable. So how we get the paper to the right size of the wall parts is we literally just trace it down on top of the paper. Make sure you've got a very sharp, even brand new blade on your Stanley or your X-Acto blade, because it will pull the wallpaper. And you find as you go in cutting 2 or 3 pieces, you might need to spin the blade around after just doing 3 parts. So keep them sharp so when you cut you don't get rough, jaggedy edges. Now for gluing this down, as you can see we've cut it out to a shape that completely covers all the details, windows and everything. For gluing this down, what you do is just put PVA glue on it and brush it out to all the sides. The details like the windows and stuff like that, just leave them without any glue on, so when you come to remove the paper it will just fall off. It doesn't overly matter whether you cut in super neat, because there's the MDF details that go over this to hide your cuts. So if you're a mill out or you're a bit scruffy or it tears anywhere, don't worry about it too much, because we can cover that with the wooden window later. Then all you're left to do is, once you've done all that, is just assemble the building. Now, when I mean assemble, it's like a full assembly now. If there's any bit you think that's going to be quite awkward, leave that off. But I put the roof on, I put the chimney on, I put everything on at this point, just so I can get cracking with the rest of the detailing. Now the wooden details that come with it are more than acceptable to use. I mean, you could make your own, but I like the shape of them. I like the design that's already on there. Now to make them look more like wood, what I do is I get my Stanley blade and I run it across the side, taking chips, chunks out, I bevel the edges, and then from that what we do is we go down and we draw lines in it with the blade to simulate deeper wood grain. And then once you've got that wood grain in there, when you come to dry brushing and painting it later and washing, they'll take into them scratches and scrapes and dinks and just make it look a lot nicer than just the flat wood. It's a very quick step. Just do this to all the wood and learn this process. Whenever you think I'm going to do any wood parts, just apply this to any wood part from this point. Okay, so window frames, everything. And once you've got the wood all done, assemble that onto the building and stick it all together, ready for the next step. The roofing tiles and chimney. How I'm going to attack this is you could use cardboard. However, with cardboard, it's texturing the tiles to look like slate or like wooden tiles that they used to use. I can't remember the name of them. But what I'm going to do is I found this company a while back and I've been using them ever since. They're very handy. So if you want the links to the molds, they're below. The resin that I'm using is CFS resin. I use this on everything that I use because it's a good quality company in the UK. It's just polyester resin. And all you've got to do is pour into the molds and pop them out. Now, starting on the roof tiles, this is a very daunting task. I was doing about 2 tiles a minute and there's quite a lot on there. Do take your time with this because the building's quite derelict and rough and old, like slightly falling about. I can literally just lay them as I want, which is nice. If I wanted it neat and tidy, it does take a lot longer to do. However, I will do some videos in future showing you how we can make like tile molds and stuff like that using these, so we can make the processes like this quicker later on. If you're interested in that video, let me know in the comments below. Now I stick them on just with super glue and repeat this process until you're done. However, don't get too excited like I did. I thought, because I'd been literally doing the first one roof side for about 2 hours, and when I got to the end of it I got very excited and I forgot I had to do the other side. Genuinely forgot I had to do the other side. So yeah, do take your time with it. Now with the chimney, it's the same process. In hindsight, it would have been better to build a chimney myself and then stick a resin chimney on there that I've built using the bricks from the molds. However, because I'd already stuck it on, I thought I'll build around it. It looks a bit shabby, but it goes with the look of the building. However, in later videos, I will build some perfect chimneys and some nice different chimneys. Might even 3D print some. And then use them on my builds later. But as you can see, it does add a nice extra layer of detail, which you don't get from just the MDF. Now for adding more wood details, I'm using balsa. The reason I use balsa is it's got a nice wood grain on it already. It's very, very simple to work with. Balsa's great. Okay, it's not overly expensive either, and it's just very easy to use, and with it being wood, you don't need to do much to it to make it look like wood. Just follow the steps that we did before, as in scraping, chipping, drawing lines in it, a bit of a file if you want, and when you dry brush that up, it looks great. So the first bits we're going to start adding are the roof supports. Now, what's easy about this model is the roof came in 3 parts, so all I did is I put 3 roof struts down each side where the roof tiles originally were supposed to be from the MDF. Now, I'm going to add more wooden details than what was supplied with this kit on the 2 longest sides. There's no extra wooden details and I need a way to hide the cuts of the paper. So I thought, one, it adds a bit more detail because it's just a solid brick wall. So I just cut some, I think it's 1.5 or 2 mil balsa, so it matches what they've got. And I cut it as similar as I can, and then just make some straight, some angled bits just to jazz it up. Now, this building only comes with 1 door, and it's a hinge door on the front, which is fair enough, and there's a lean-to on the building, and the lean-to side doesn't have a door, it's just an opening, which I thought was a bit strange. And with wargaming terrain buildings, going inside, I see it as a bit of a gimmick, so I thought I might as well just build 2 doors and seal it shut, and just have it as line of sight blocking, and build things around it. So what I did was I used a bit of balsa to fill the hole, And then all I did was, same as I did the wooden sidings and structures, is I just cut some thin strips, stuck them down, then I did 2 thin MDF panels, and then did a corner MDF panel, just quick cuts, just testing the sizing, and then just cutting with a knife. It's so simple to do. And then glue it all together with super glue. However, balsa sometimes can react with super glue and get a bit smoky and steamy, so be careful on how much you're applying. Now the lean-to on the building, it looked alright to be fair, but what I didn't like about it is the corners of the lean-to was 2 pieces of wood that was open, so I thought what I'll do is I'll cut them 4 legs off and I'll put 4 strips of thick balsa on there and make them look like large supports. So I did that, and I used the main wooden supports that was left over, so I didn't have to build them, and just copied the wooden design onto them that we've done across the whole build. Stuck that all together, and then the roof I just used some coffee stirrers. I scratched them up and roughed them up a bit, and then just laid them in irregular patterns on the roof. That took literally half hour, 45 minutes, and it looked far better than I thought it would. At this point I got a bit excited and primed it, and then I forgot, oh, I haven't done the stucco, the mottle and daub, or whatever it's called. I've not done that bit. I used tile grout. The reason I use tile grout to do it is because it's so fine and it scales better. You could use sands mixed in PVA glue, or some products from my range, whatever you want to use. But I find tile grout looks the nicest. Now I apply it because the wood's only 2mm around the outside and we've beveled it. There's not much space to fill. Blackmagic Craft, he mixes it into a paste and drops it on, which looks good, but with him using foam it's a little bit thicker than the wood, so that's why it works better for him. So if you are working with an MDF kit like this that's thin as it is, and then you're beveling it down, bear in mind there's not much space between the wood and where you're going to be adding your stucco. So all I do is I apply some PVA in quite thickly, about 1/2 mil thick maybe, to 1 mil, and then I just pour the sandless tile grout on top of that. Then you let that dry, and then you just brush it off, and then that's it. And then when you come to painting it and everything else, it looks awesome. And you get, sometimes when the glue dries and shrinks, you do get cracks and natural sort of nice varieties to the texture, which you haven't put in yourself, which I think again makes it look more natural. For painting, guys, I'm not going to go into this because I just chucked some base coats on, which were like a dark sand for the stucco, some reddy brown for the wood, which dries a lot darker, and then I just went on with some dry brushing, greys and creams, and just literally put a wash all over it and dry brush the stucco bits back up with a bit of ivory, and that's where I'm going to leave it. I'm going to be using these buildings in a board build, which I'm going to make a nice 3x3 skirmish table with them all. So I will go into more details and add in obviously more weathering and picking out a few more details and adding more details to the buildings, like door handles, because yes, somebody in the comments is going to put, there's no door handles. I know they ain't. There's not even windows in it either, which there's going to be. I'm going to put some broken windows and stuff in, but that will all come in the next few videos, guys, okay? When I start building that board, I will go into more detail of each building. The ruined tower I might actually build on camera, because I'm going to have to thicken the walls out and do some really nice rubble and stuff like that, but that'll be in a couple of weeks because I'm very busy with the move at the minute. Then all you've got to do, guys, is just fit it all back together and then you're done. So as you can see, it took me a good couple of days to get it to this point with drying times and casting up all the tiles and everything. But as I've said, in future videos, guys, I'll show you how to make your own little molds so you can make this process far quicker and far easier. So guys, if you've liked this video, please let me know in the comments below. I've not done anything like this on the channel before, and I've really enjoyed it. I've put quite a lot of time and effort into this one as well. It's took me most of a week to record and edit using 3 cameras. So if you like the format, please let me know. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for all your support over the last few years. If you'd like to support the channel at all, don't forget to check the links to the products used. Obviously, there's stuff on my store like your Scenics and everything else where you can really support me that way. I do have a Patreon, and the links below will be tracked where I get a cut from. And also, thanks to Warcradle for sponsoring this video. It really helped out. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you next week for another video. Love, love, love.